I'm gonna force us to do a Christmas podcast.
We should.
We're gonna have Winterville music booming in the background.
I would love that. I would absolutely. I guess since it's 9, I think we should be good to start since it's 9:03. So I'm just gonna just for tradition's sake, even though the podcast has already started. What's going on, everybody? My name is Box, and welcome back to the Kun-Lai Campfire. Today we are talking about the ending of Shadowlands, and I am a double agent, Goliath. I am a double agent, but yeah, no. Today we're going to be talking about the last patch, 9.2 of Shadowlands. We went ahead the week before and talked about our speculation for the next expansion. I just want to say the actual thing of this podcast, we're going to probably be talking a lot right now. So if we don't get back to chat, we're going to be doing at the end lore Q&A. So if you guys have any questions, just say Bucks, what do you think G Firepaw is doing right now? Or Skoll, what do you think Rexar is doing right now? But because we got Zoval on the thumbnail, we got to talk about him first. The best favorite Warcraft villain in the franchise. Zoval, I'm going to actually start off and talk about the character and his reception so far and how I guess I feel about him. I think as a concept, the idea of the jailer actually is interesting. I remember that original artwork where he had that beard and he looked really cool in that artwork. In the version we got of him, I think the armor made him look cooler that we got in this patch and at the end of 9.1. But the way he looked before, it was hard to take him seriously. He kind of looked like the guy from SpongeBob, Nosferatu. It's not even from SpongeBob, but Nosferatu in that episode. He always reminded me of him. If anyone gets that reference, I will agree with that, Goliath. He does look better.
He looks like handsome Squidward.
He does.
And, what's the other combination? Handsome Squidward and Voldemort.
I'm glad I'm not the only person that thought of handsome Squidward when they saw Zoval.
There's artwork of him out there that is like that.
Okay, I'm not surprised.
He kind of gives me those Mansory vibes too. I gotta mention.
Because he's bald. We call him Zo Bald. That's why.
So I think if anything though, this chat is consultation that I think his design was kind of weak as a villain. I think he'll be memorable in a silly way, and then in the lore, truthfully he does silly things. Why does he have a giant telescope that he uses to pull things, chain things with? That was enough inspiration for me to do a whole machinima on it. I just think the guy behind the Lich King, he's kind of a letdown, and I think Blizzard kind of knows that. But I know that's kind of a broken record subject because nobody really likes Zoval that much. I am curious though, what is his grand plan? Besides, it's just the Thanos snap and reset the universe, I believe.
Well, he basically tells us.
Yeah,
he's I'm gonna remake reality and I'm gonna make it so I'm on top and nobody else is, and that's why, Sylvanas goes oh no, not another one of these guys.
I think he is a Saturday morning cartoon villain, Goliath. I think that's the problem is one, his story, I've heard other people say this, and this is probably just me regurgitating it, but his story is kind of like Thanos without the journey of Thanos in the build-up. He's kind of just, oh, this bad guy has been pulling Evil String 8 behind the scenes while, it just doesn't work that well. But the thing I'm curious is what his defeat might lead up to. Because I get the feeling Zoval's defeat is going to have some impact in 10.0. I think we've talked about this before, but I think he is going to either succeed, or I like the idea that Skoll had in the other podcast of Sylvanas or someone takes the sigils and has this should we do this moment, and perhaps things get reset in some way, but not totally. Zoval is, I believe, confirmed to not be surviving this patch, and I don't think anyone's really upset about that. I am ready to get back to more interesting villains. I will at least use him for a few more thumbnails, and probably like one more machinima, because he's so vol. But like, yeah, no, that's kind of where I stand on him. I'm not really a fan of the character. Interested to see what his plan is, and that bit with him in front of the Azerite in the trailer was really interesting to me. I like it when expansions tie together, so having it connect with the Heart of Azeroth would be nice. I'm guessing he's just gonna try and do something to the heart or something with his grand evil plan. I bet Sylvanas knows a bit more about it. That's probably why she's with us in the next patch. I can let one of you guys talk because I feel like I have been rambling for 10 minutes and I apologize.
No need to apologize. Yeah, do you want
My
to talk
job.
first, Skoll, or me?
I feel like whenever I talk, it's like for an hour, so like I feel like you should go, Kai. So that
Okay.
way, like, we get the 2 pandas out, and then it's the orc time.
To be honest, I don't actually have much to say on him. As you have already kind of touched on, he kind of feels like he was just inserted in there, which I guess is how MMOs work in general. But the best metaphor I can think of for him is like he's a layer of cake thrown on without the frosting. And I know that's a bit strange, but hear me out. Like, I think he would have been better received had there had been more clues of his existence kind of breadcrumbed throughout time in some way. I think that's the reason why we were able to take things like the Legion and the Black Empire and all these other things like that more seriously, because we had clues of their existence long before. Granted, you can retroactively kind of make things reference to Jailer, but without something more direct or impactful, I guess that's the reason why he doesn't really feel so serious. I kind of went on a tangent there, I apologize. But as for what I think will happen in his defeat, I feel like the most likely case, and maybe just because I feel like it's a good idea to do things this way, is that his defeat's going to still impact the universe in some way. He's going to partially succeed in a way that is beneficial narratively. It's kind of like the Argus thing, getting Argus yanked like right beside our planet, but it kind of opens up the gate to something more afterward, because as you say, a lot of people are ready to move on to more interesting villains, or villains they care about, or characters in general that they care more about. But at this point, I hate to say it, we're running out if we're not already out. So I feel like it's the time to build up to something more. We need like a filler expansion, if you will. Kind of like Mists of Pandaria, where it didn't start off with a looming big bad guy. It kind of started off with just, hey, new continent, a little bit of faction war here and there, and we're going to figure ourselves out as we go. I feel like that would be the next course of action to take, rather than kind of throwing another big bad our way. Like, oh, the jailer's gone, but now like the super jailer is now awake because the jailer like opened up, I don't know, a realm to this universe. If that makes any sense.
Right. So like no more like another big villain behind the jailer. Like we need more of a grounded expansion like Mists of Pandaria, where we can kind of reset the playing field. I think everyone's gonna kill me if I talk about this, but like, because I did this in another podcast, and this is like the same conversation. But I think Garrosh worked so good as a villain because he was like grounded. You know what I mean? He was just a bad dude.
He was established. Yeah.
Yeah. Exactly, and that's what he felt built up to in a way that kind of made sense. And what I always liked about his character is he could have went either way, and I always think that's fascinating about him. But we're not gonna talk about Garrosh this episode. We're not gonna... I do it every episode.
Not again. You have a problem, Box. We're gonna have to have a meeting or something if you do it again. I swear.
The joke is that at the beginning, when Box was like using an example of like, when people have Q&A, if they ask, me, for example, what I think G Firepaw's up to, I think he's just kind of hoping people will ask, hey, Box, what's Garrosh doing, or something like that, or G Firepaw.
So we actually just got an interesting comment from Goliath about what you said, Kai. He said, wasn't that what BFA was supposed to be? And in a way, like, the start of BFA kind of felt like that, but then it got really grand scale again, I think, with Enzoth and Ajara. I liked the start of BFA's lore a lot up until 8.1. I really liked that storyline. With the drama with Sarfang and Sylvanas, it was good. It was good. I hope we can get an expansion more like that with some new characters, and perhaps one that is popular, a big popular speculation right now is the Dragon Isles. A lot of people are talking about it. Me and Skoll wanted Shadowlands to be the Dragon Isles.
Yep.
But I always liked the theory that Skoll had with Galakrond being resurrected as a villain, even in just like one raid. Like that is a good example of how Blizzard could use a character with some lore and give it more with a lot of lore, but like make it hurt and make it impactful. Because, like, let's be real, I think some of our favorite raids as players are the raids where we fight characters we know. Like, my favorite raid in Legion, and I think a lot of people's favorite raids in Legion, actually for me personally, I know, not from a gameplay perspective, but like story, I think Nighthold and Tomb of Sargeras were my two favorites because we got to fight characters we really knew. I mean, we knew Xavius, right? But like Gul'dan and Kil'jaeden were like huge characters, and having them waiting for you at the end of the raid felt very epic for me. And even in gosh, I'll go back to I'm gonna say something good about Warlords of Draenor. At the end of Blackrock Foundry, fighting War Chief Blackhand and fighting Archimonde at the end of Hellfire Citadel was pretty badass. So like. And then Garrosh at Siege of Orgrimmar was awesome with that hype of who's going to be War Chief. Like, you need good story threads, I think, too, to make those raids interesting. Which, at the same time, I think the ending of 9.2 can be interesting, but I'm curious of how Blizzard is going to stick the landing with it. But, yeah, if you guys have any raids that you felt... Like, the Lich King, obviously, is memorable in Icecrown Citadel for a ton of reasons. I mean... I won't lie to you guys, I woke up my mom when I downed the Lich King the first time, and I'm like, I downed the Lich King! When I was in high school. And then she was like, that's nice, Mike. And that was it.
That's so wholesome.
That's one of my best memories of WoW, but the build up to that, just knowing who Arthas was as a kid, that's why, like, for me, like, I personally, this might be kind of like a little bit of a hot take, but I don't want Arthas in Shadowlands story, even though I know this is a spoiler, just so you guys know about one of the encounters, but I believe we are going to be fighting a remnant of the Lich King, Arthas, in the Anduin encounter, but I just hope they don't do much with Arthas afterwards, because I think his story ended really well and just doesn't really need to be touched upon that much.
Arthas, in contrast to Illidan, Arthas was done so much more beautifully and well done, while Illidan was just done dirty, which is why they brought Illidan back. While Arthas is kind of, it's like worrisome because it's like, it feels fan servicey.
Yeah, 100%.
If they just, like, they did, Illidan was fan service too, but Illidan was fan service done right, where it was like, this makes sense. Let's bring him back and do him justly, and they can bring him back anytime too. But Arthas was just like, yeah, you did a good job. No need to do more.
Yeah, we don't need... I think his story ended good, and, like, I would argue the two expansions with the best endings were, like, in terms of closure, was Wrath of the Lich King and Legion, where it left a good hook, but the arc ended well, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
And I arguably miss Pandaria, too, but I think Garrosh was a huge cliffhanger to where that arc continued to WoD pretty naturally, but, like... Yeah, no, so Goliath says, what's cool about Galakrond is he just evolved and mutated naturally. He wasn't some experiment from an even bigger bad or even purposely evil. Just as a hungry, magic mutated beast. Rather refreshing. Yes, yeah, like I think that's something that's like really cool.
I hate to burst that bubble, but he was exactly that.
Oh, he was mutated?
Yeah, even Xalatath was like, yeah, we use Galakrond, basically, in her whispers. Yeah, it was confirmed. In the book, they even did a really good job of foreshadowing that the old gods were the ones who created Galakrond in the first place and meddled with him. I believe it was actually the Titans that first meddled with him, and then the old gods looked at him and go like, ooh.
He would be a good villain, though, still, I think. He would definitely be a good villain to come back at some point.
Yeah, but Galakrond and Deathwing are two of the biggest examples where the old gods really like using dragons for their schemes, sadly.
They do. So, what do you guys... this is kind of a... Because I've been talking a lot, I want to throw some questions to you guys. What do you think...
I didn't even get to answer the first question.
Oh my god. Do you guys know I do this like every podcast? Like, and I edit it out sometimes. I edit out, but this one stays in. So Skoll and Kai answer the first questions before I start rambling.
Well, Kai already did.
Skoll...
Yeah.
Oh no!
I've been waiting patiently, and you've just been going on a rampage.
I'm sorry, Banneret. All right.
Yeah, Goliath. Galakrond was indeed a old god experiment confirmed by Xalatath. But in terms of good old Zobald, good old Zovol, whatever you call him, the jailer, I was actually really excited for him at first because he was a mysterious force, and I really like mysterious villains when they're just silhouettes in the background and, you know, they're building up to them. That's what N'Zoth basically was. That's what old gods are in general, and they were building up to him in the trailer. And I thought that that's what they were going to do with Zovol, that he was going to be this big old mystery of, oh, what is he? Who was he? Etc., etc. But instead, they wanted to go the route of Arthas, where he's in your face all the time. And rather than it being like, oh, I can't wait to fight this guy, it's the creator of the Lich King, he's so cool, he came off across as almost really annoying and also just not really interesting. Like, I love the idea of the Lich King being a unique concept, because one of the biggest questions I had back during Warcraft 3 was why doesn't the Legion just create an army of Lich Kings? Like, what's going on with that? And Shadowlands solved that issue, and I know a lot of people don't like it, but I actually do like that Shadowlands finally fixes that whole storyline of why don't they just make a bunch of Lich Kings. But Zovol's biggest issue is that he relies way too much on his creations and allies to make him interesting. You know, you've got Halia, Kel'Thuzad, Arthas, Sylvanas, Muzala, and all these other characters in the Scourge. They are what are trying to make him interesting because he created those concepts or is the lord of those concepts, and he's not better than them. He's nowhere even close to as interesting as them. And I feel like if we did have a Thanos relationship with him where we got to understand why he acted this way, understand why he's like this, he'd be a far more compelling and interesting villain. But because we don't see that, he's just not interesting. And as people have said, he's a cartoon villain, and it's sad. It's not good, because we went from Sargeras and N'Zoth and Kil'jaeden and Archimonde and Gul'dan and all this other stuff, even Garrosh, to Zovol, and we know that they can do really good and interesting villains, but Zovol just did not take the cake at all.
Yeah, that's why I think they really did try, but I almost feel like this sounds bad, but like, and I'm not bad-mouthing the writers, but like, I almost feel like they didn't know what to do with him. Like, they had a plan for him, and like, it's like, he almost feels overshadowed by Sylvanas in a way. It's like Shadowlands.
Oh, he totally is.
Yeah, like
he is. I feel like that's the problem with Shadowlands, is it's coming off the crutch of BFA, where we're excited and, you know, we want to get back at Sylvanas for all that she did in BFA, and unfortunately that is also another neutered thing in Shadowlands. We don't really get to do that. Instead, the shift is immediately focused on Zovol, and we're kind of like scratching our head going, who? What? Why is he here? What's going on with this? And he's very much... I think that he really needed that build-up. He really needed that, okay, this is what's going on with Zovol and Sylvanas and BFA. I really feel like Battle for Azeroth and Shadowlands would have benefited from a guy in the shadows is manipulating X, because then we would have had a big reveal of, oh, this is who Sylvanas is working for. Instead, it's kind of just dropped on us like, yep, she's been working for him this whole time, and we're meant to believe that.
I don't mean to cut you off, Skoll, but I had an interesting idea about what you were just talking about with like bad guys being developed. How would you have felt, and I'm not saying like, well, it could have worked in a different way, but how would have you felt if Sylvanas was the last boss of BFA, and then it led into like Enzoth somehow invading the realm of Shadow or something like that? Like,
that would have been better.
I think that would have been, it would have felt, I think that gets to your point where that would have been the build-up we needed and would have made more sense, and I think more people would have been happy with that storyline. But I think maybe what they should have done was have Zoval, if they were going to build him up to be this big bad guy, mention him more in BFA instead of Enzoth. Yeah. And I think
that's what I'm saying. Yeah,
like that would have worked way better, like you were saying. And it can't be one or the other, because now what we're left with is a villain that was anticipated, like Enzoth, being kind of like and then a villain like Zoval feeling lackluster. So I didn't mean to cut you off on that, Skoll, but
no, it's fine.
Thought about that.
Talking on that with the whole old gods invading the Shadowlands, I really feel like that's a storyline that would have been perfect to tell with either N'Zoth or Yogg-Saron, because Yogg-Saron preached on and on about how he was the god of death, and he had the connection to Icecrown being made of Serenite, and Serenite being all over Icecrown and the Icecrown Citadel. And then you also had the they said a while ago, and they no longer really have this anymore in the lore as far as I know, but Yogg-Saron was supposed to have a deep connection with the Lich King, and they wanted to explore that back in Wrath, but they didn't get to. So they basically were like, maybe you'll find out someday, which that's probably not going to happen, because the story has been changed so much from the old gods being the big bad to the Void Lords to now who knows what's going to be the big bad anymore, because I feel like they had an idea of wanting to do the Void Lords as the big bad, but they're like, let's do something different with that. Let's make I feel like this is what they're probably going to do. I feel like they're trying to make each of the cosmic forces have a lord. So we have the Void Lords, the Light Lords, the Demon Lords, who knows? I'm a bit worried about that, and hopefully they don't do something that contrived, but who knows? But speaking on a point that I actually wanted to talk about with Jikai and Goliath pointed out, there are actually a lot of forces left that we still have to contend with, that we can contend with, thanks to both Battle for Azeroth and other previous expansions. I'm actually working on a video right now explaining that, but we still have forces like Galakrond. Oh, not Galakrond, but maybe Galakrond. Galakrond's a maybe, because he's already dead. But you got Chromatus, the five-headed dragon that's locked up in the Nexus, which could be a perfect villain for the Dragon Isles. I'm just saying, Blizzard. You've got Queen Ajara still out there. You've got Xalatath being freed. You've got the potential return of Ragnaros, because that's hinted at with the Dark Iron recruitment scenario. There's the Lightbound with Yrel. They can do so many storylines. My biggest fear is they would pull another BFA where it's just they're throwing all of those storylines in one bin to get them done and over with, which that can work, but if it's in the same vein as BFA, then it can't work, because you're not giving enough time for those storylines to breathe. So after Zoval's dealt with, I do think that I think we are going back to Azeroth, but we do have a ton of characters that we still have to deal with. I don't want to spoil my whole video, that's why I didn't name everything, but still. Ragnaros is overused. Depends on how they use him, really. Go ahead, Jikai.
Yep.
Oh, I was just gonna say that I can't tell you how sad I was whenever I learned that Nazjatar was going to be a patch, and not even really a patch, but half a patch.
Half a patch, yeah.
Thing. Like that was the one I was holding out for. Like I remember way back when people were speculating about a South Seas expansion and whatever that would be named, and Nazjatar was I remember a big part of that topic, and that was the one I was just like holding out for. Like, I've always loved like the aquatic themes and things like that. So yeah, whenever I learned it was just a part, like half of a patch, and not even really that. Like, oh man, can't tell you how sad I was.
Yeah, I think that Nazjatar could have been a lot better if it was either an expansion or a major patch. I feel like one of the benefits to Nazjatar is we didn't get to see the whole thing. We only got to see a part of it. So if they maybe reconsider, maybe they'll go like, all right, let's make Nazjatar a full-fledged expansion or a bigger zone that we return to. I always like it when they actually have us return to old zones and they've been revamped.
Me too.
So maybe that's something that they could do. Like they connect Vajir and Nazjatar together to make it one big zone. I feel like that would be really good. I another thing with like Zovol is like I really hope that when we're done, and like I have my speculations on what's going to happen now that more stuff is getting revealed as time goes on with the PDR, but I do think something major is going to happen. It's not going to be the using the machine to reset everything, but something else that I thought was going to happen in BFA. But to answer another thing that Goliath keeps pointing, I actually like. So they introduced a new Fire Lord with Legion with Smolderon. I honestly feel like, and like that's another thing, that plot point that was in BFA, but he's like completely missing in BFA. Like he's gone missing. He's MIA. They're probably using him to revive Ragnaros, and I find that interesting. I don't find Smolderon interesting though. I've always found Ragnaros more compelling and interesting. When they said we're doing a different Fire Lord, it makes sense, but I don't think Smolderon is as interesting as his other elemental lords, sadly.
So, I think with the next topic that we have to talk about is a character that we have talked about many, many times on this podcast. But it is an elephant in the room in 9.2, and that is the soul of Sylvanas Windrunner. I would like to point out I would love to have playable Dark Rangers at some point. That would be really fun. But Sylvanas, what do you guys think they're gonna do with her? I'm very curious, like, if they're gonna have like a trial scene that lasts like 2 seconds, and then she's definitely gonna have some sort of information on how to stop Zovol. I'm very curious to see what they're gonna be doing with Tyrande and Sylvanas, because that doesn't seem like a thing that they would just have like a casual conversation like, oh, you're good now, you got your soul back. And I don't think the general populace in Azeroth would feel that way, besides maybe people that like know what's going on and feel that they need her help right now. I'm very weird on that storyline. I don't love it. I don't particularly hate it. I'm just not really sure what they're going to do with her, but I do have some faith that they're going to handle her well next patch. I think they have some sort of plan for her. I've been very indifferent on that one, but I'm kind of curious what you guys think about it. I know mine was kind of brief. We're going to have to wait and see if they do a full redemption arc, half redemption arc, anti-hero arc. I have no idea what is planned with that character. But yeah, Kai, I'm going to throw it to you first. What do you think about Sylvanas?
So obviously that's a very delicate situation. You've got a lot of hardliners on both ends. One, you got the folks that really love Sylvanas. They don't want to see her go, perhaps justifiably so, because there really isn't a character like her or not. You can't argue that there's any characters that really have that much similarity to her. On the other hand, personally, I can absolutely understand the folks that feel like if she's not killed or done away with in some regard, that justice is never actually done. I mean, not even accounting for what the Night Elves went through, which is a lot. I mean, the destruction of pretty much their entire culture, and just all those lives lost. It's going to be a difficult balancing act to find something in the middle. I do think the solution that they're going to try to find is that her sentencing is that she's going to have to take the responsibility of some grand figure that we already know about, which I know many probably have already kind of predicted, but truthfully, I do kind of see that happening, where she's going to be a Lich Queen, which I don't know why she would have to be, with the fact that there already is one and he's around. I was gonna say alive, but he's not alive, but he's around. Or the Arbiter, which I believe you mentioned before, Box, or maybe that was Skoll. I can't remember which one of you two mentioned that before, but I think that's going to be her quote punishment, is that she's going to have to assume some great responsibility in the afterlife. It kind of takes the eyes off her for a while. She's still around in the story. Maybe we'll interact with her in some occasions in the future. It kind of leaves that opportunity open to include her more when necessary, but also they're not just gonna kill her off completely,
You know what, Kai? Just to echo your reply for that, I actually am in some way of an agreement for you with this, because as somebody who is I'm gonna just talk about this, but as somebody who is a fan of Garrosh, I was really hoping when he survived Siege of Orgrimmar that he was gonna do something more in the storyline. It felt kind of weird that they kept him alive only just to kill him in the next patch. And I think that in a way, her surviving the raid for her fan base, I like the character of Sylvanas. I think she's pretty badass, but I think the for her fan base too, that would suck for them to just have her die a patch later, So I think that's probably the most respectful thing to do, is have her, like Goliath said, an eternity of community service. I like that. But I think that's the best thing they can do with her character, for her fan base, for the story. Put her on ice, kind of like Illidan is right now, for a little while, and then perhaps in the end of Warcraft, she can come back and help with that conflict. I think you're right, though. That's a tough situation they're in with her. I'm gonna let Skoll talk about his feelings now, unless you want to reply to that first, Kai.
I was just gonna say I kind of have to feel for him.
Yeah.
It's good to feel invested in stories like these, but unfortunately, some folks get a little more invested than they really should. You have to remember these are people with jobs, and that's the only unfortunate thing, is sometimes some folks get a little nastier about it than is really necessary.
Right.
All right. I guess I'll talk about our good old friend Sylvanas Windrunner, who, God, she flip-flops so much with me. It's kind of crazy how much she flip-flops as a character, honestly. Because in trying to continue excitement, Skoll. Because in BFA, I lost interest in her big time. In Legion, I was hopeful that she would maybe change a little bit with some character development, but that was a big fat no. And then in Shadowlands and BFA, it was basically confirmed, yeah, she's pretty much an antagonist, an evil person. But at the same time, on the flip side, we have Sylvanas being given back her soul, her missing soul piece, and with Uther, he kind of explains it that it's a part of you was sitting in time while the other was still present for their actions. And I really think that they're going to explore that. They're going to have to handle that well. Is it going to be like Sylvanas is a different person, or is it going to be more like she's the same person, but now she's capable of a feeling that she's not had for a very long time? So I'm very curious to see how they handle that, but I do think that one of the things that I said a while ago that I didn't think was going to happen with Sylvanas was, for when you have a character who does a redemption arc, they need to want to be redeemed. And now that Sylvanas has a piece of her back again, I have the feeling she's going to want to be redeemed. I have a feeling that she's going to regret her actions, and we're gonna have to deal with that. We're gonna have to face that, where basically Sylvanas Windrunner is regretful. Sylvanas Windrunner is wanting to atone. And one of the biggest things that you need to do for that is you need to show that she is going to do something about it. She's going to either come back with us on Azeroth to do something with the Forsaken or the Horde or something. Maybe she'll go in a cell for a while, or maybe she'll stay in the Shadowlands. And as I said a while ago, maybe she's going to like go in the Maw and make sure everyone who got sent there gets out of there, because they don't deserve that. Like, I would love to just a good long quest line with her where she realizes how much she's effed up, and she wants to make amend with that by fixing or altering the Mossworn that were changed by Zovol to back who they used to be. Like, one of the things I would love to see is her rescuing Saurfang, because yeah, she killed him and he does not deserve to rot in the Maw. That's one of my biggest things that I want to see from her after all
Agreed
this.
with that. Agreed with that. Saurfang has been MIA for way too long, and I don't like it. This expansion.
I get that he got a big chunk in BFA, and I don't blame them for not wanting to focus on him too much, but as someone who's a fan of his character, I don't like his fate being either a trinket or rotting in the Maw. That's not fair to people who like him, because on the flip side, you have people who are fans of Sylvanas who are probably cheering at the fact that he's rotting in the Maw. But on the other hand, you've got people who are not fans of Sylvanas who want her to suffer the same fate. So I feel like both fans from BFA deserve to be thrown a bone, where, yeah, let Sylvanas live, but also let her atone for her actions in some way. I don't know if she's going to do some big sacrifice. I don't know if she's going to be coming back with us on Azeroth. I'm on the flip side where I'm like, I'm okay if she comes back with us if she's a whole new person, My biggest issue with Sylvanas is she's remained a very static character and I'm sure someone's going to be like, oh, Sylvanas has changed. You're wrong. But in my eyes, she's remained mostly the same as a person. She's very spiteful, she's very angry, she's very hateful, she's not very understanding of peace and negotiation and all that. I just would want to see her to become a different character, personally. Like, I know some people don't want that too, because they like the character Sylvanas already is. But when I say I want her to be a changed person or a changed character, she can still be the same Sylvanas we all know and love, that she's capable of remorse and pity and regret and all that stuff, emotions that most characters already have.
Yeah, I think we'll have to just wait and see what they do with her. It's crazy, right? Because Sylvanas is definitely a character that you could talk about for literally hours on end. She has a lot of baggage, a lot going on with her. But at the end of the day, she is iconic to Warcraft, I think. And I think they'll have something good planned for her. But I'm just curious if it sticks to landing. That's the main
thing.
That's going to be the tough part. They're going to keep it relevant, definitely. But how they're going to do it is going to be a real challenge. I can't blame them if they misstep. If they nail it, kudos. But if they misstep, I can't blame them, because it's a delicate situation.
I can already see the ending of Shadowlands cinematic meter on YouTube.
I think the biggest worry that I have is right now just the character, not so much her, but the characters around her. You've got Tyrande, you've got Thrall, you've got Jaina, you've got Anduin, you've got Bane. You've got all these characters who have really complex feelings and very odd relationships with her, and that I hope that they can do that justice, because those characters will be present for Zereth Mortis. So I hope that they, one, use that as really good storytelling of having these characters interact with her and tell her off for what she did, and her being like, yeah, you're right. But But I think the biggest worry is just, I think this is the biggest thing that I think that they will possibly mess up on is characters forgiving her for her actions. I think that's my biggest worry because a lot of the fan base do not want to see her be forgiven, and I kind of have to agree with them because she does not forgive forgiveness. I think the best thing that I think you'll like this in my relationship with this box, but at the end of Halo 3, you have the commander, I think it's Commander Shepard, I forget his name. But he's
I think Commander Shepard is the guy from Mass Effect.
Oh, okay, he's Mass Effect. Well, he's the guy in Halo 2, the guy who wears all white. He's like the head of the army. I don't know his name.
He's Commander Shepard now, though. That's confirmed.
He's Commander Shepard.
I'm so happy about that.
Anderson. You're thinking of Captain Anderson. Clearly.
Is it Captain Anderson?
It's not.
I don't know his name.
I'm gonna Google this right now, since like we're
okay.
live getting this.
Look it up, please.
Halo 3 Commander. It's not Commander Keyes, is it? Because it's Commander.
No, Keyes is dead.
Is it Jacob Keyes?
No, he's dead.
Hold on.
Oh, no.
Hold on. This might be Jacob Keyes, I think. Nope, that is not Jacob Keyes. Okay, so
he's the one who rewards Chief at the beginning. I don't know what his name is.
Is it Sir? I think it's Sir Terrence Hood is his name.
I think it is Hood.
Yeah, it is. Okay, so we confirmed some Halo facts on the stream today.
There we go. We're talking Halo lore, finally, after all this time. Okay, so the Hood guy, he's talking to the Arbiter, and he doesn't say, I can never forgive you what your kind did to mine, which, they basically glassed planets, they killed millions of humans and all that stuff in their war, but he thanks him. That's what they should do with Sylvanas. You don't forgive her for her actions, but you thank her for changing and for her doing some good. That is the perfect way to handle Sylvanas, in my opinion, because that way you have both sides be happy. You don't get forgiveness for what she did, but you do have people thank her for having a changed tone, changing her leaf, helping us out against the wall, which I think is perfect because, I do think she is going to change, but you can't just be like, yeah, I forgive you for burning Teldrassil. No. Like, that's not going to work. So
yeah, that's a tough call.
I feel like that's the best way to handle it.
I feel like a lot of people that are hoping for some, like, Schadenfreude are going to be a bit disappointed because, the most likely candidate for doing any serious harm or punishment toward her is Tyrande. And I mean, with the Elune encounter, choosing restoration over, vengeance already kind of being out the window. I think the worst you can expect from her is like a nasty scowl, like, grr, I don't like you. But I've got to move on.
I'd love a good Rathian punch from Tyrande to Sylvanas, because that's not her killing her, but it is her venting out some frustrations. So
it's gonna be like a Jack Sparrow kind of thing where it's like just slaps her in the face. Did you deserve that one? Yeah, that
I
one.
deserve that.
I think Goliath says it right here, though. We need a true sense of actions having consequences with her character still. Even if they go the route of like her being a changed person, there has to be some sort of consequence. I am gonna say, just time-wise, the next thing is kind of related to this still, so I'm just gonna bring this up. But I'm just gonna start it up without saying a name. Is this the best you can do? Where is Nathanos? What's been going on with that guy? I thought for sure he was gonna be like in Shadowlands by now, to be honest. Like, I wonder, do you guys think he's being held somewhere special by Zoval and we're gonna save him in the raid? Do you think his soul will perhaps be saved from the Maw at the end of the expansion? And
okay, if Nathanos gets saved from the Maw but Sarfang doesn't, I'm gonna have a very long rant.
I'm curious too, like, say like Sylvanas dies like she is now, is her spirit, is she gonna be undead or Ranger General Sylvanas? Or is Nathanos gonna be human Nathanos, like as he was in life? When we go to I think it's what is the realm? Bastion. There are Forsaken spirits in Bastion. They can choose their appearance, right? When they die.
Yeah, they can choose their appearance. So That would actually, I feel like that's such a complicated thing, because like, does Sylvanas and Nathanos, do they like their living selves more, or do they like their undead selves more? Because Nathanos, I feel like, liked being undead a lot more than being alive. And then Sylvanas, I feel like, is more complicated, because I do think she liked being alive more than being dead. Because one of her biggest lines that everyone likes to quote is, "What joy is there in this curse?"
What joy is there in this curse? I'm gonna inflict this on everybody.
Yeah. Good old Sylvanas. I feel like that's I don't know. That's the thing, but I hope they get their happy ending. Like at the same I want a happy ending for all the characters in Shadowlands, to be fair. Like I want Sarfang to go and rejoin with his son. I want Sylvanas to, go off to somewhere with Nathanos and them to be alone and just leave us alone. That's how I feel about those characters. I'm tired of. I'm more tired of Nathanos than I am of Sylvanas.
I just want to say something, Skoll. In a matter of a half hour, you've had 2 different opinions on Sylvanas.
Well,
that's not, but no, because you said you were like, oh, I flip flop on Sylvanas, and I feel the same way. I do the same thing where I
do not flip flop with Nathanos though. That guy can screw off. I hate him.
Well, what if What if he brought a pizza to Banarak's hut in Swamp of Sorrows?
He's getting that pizza in his face, and I hope it's steaming hot.
Poor guy. Does he deserve that?
Yeah. That
That's
pizza
fair,
probably
he
had
does.
pineapples on it.
He tried to kill Bonsomdi.
He tried to kill Bane, Thrall, Jaina, and Shah. I don't.
He did some
He
pretty
killed.
bad stuff.
You know what he also did? You know what he killed? He killed the best Forsaken character. He killed Zelling.
I know Zelling had so much potential.
I'm not letting that be forgotten about.
No, that's fair.
My poor boy.
That's fair.
You know who's also in the Maw? Zelling. Gosh darn it. All my favorite characters are in the Maw box.
Man, he would have been a good character to make an appearance this expansion, actually.
I remember when Shadowlands was announced, I was like, I want Rexar and Lillian Voss to go rescue them in the Maw.
That would have been badass.
That never happened.
I
never
really,
happened.
With an expansion like Shadowlands, I don't want to talk about this too much, but like we really should have gotten more living dead interactions. Like
we did, yeah.
Like I think we didn't get enough of them. And it's a shame because we'll never be able to do it again after this.
There is like some information they said that there are some really powerful souls in Zerif Mortis, so I hope that means we'll get to see some big characters.
Hey, maybe Varian.
Maybe Karen.
Oh, maybe. I'm thinking, yeah, we're gonna see some Age of the War characters over there. Varian is the first one that came to mind because I think there's going to be a Varian kind of wakes up Anduin kind of moment.
I feel like
there's going to be that. Yeah.
I feel like it needs to either be Varian or Tiffin. Like those two are perfect for that.
Tiffin would be a great one, honestly. Like, goodness.
We've had really great interactions between Draka and Thrall. I would love to have seen that with Tiffin and Anduin.
I'm gonna miss. I mean, I'm assuming she's probably gonna stay behind when Shadowlands ends. I'm gonna miss that because honestly, Draka might be my favorite character to come out of all of this. She's so cool. I love her. What?
One of the biggest reasons why I like Necrolords and Maldraxxus so much is because
she might be the reason why they're my favorite, honestly.
You've got Lady Vosh, you've got Alexandros Mogren, you've got so many great characters in Maldraxxus who get to shine because they don't change. And I know a lot of people, they say, "Oh, characters should change, they should develop," but I don't agree with that sentiment fully. I feel like one of my biggest things I don't like about Shadowlands is like you've got characters who are really great, who are robbed of their identity by being sent to the Shadowlands, like in Bastion. Which, yeah, Bastion's gotten development where you get to keep your memories and your appearance to some degree now, but before that was not the case at all. Which is like,
I think it's okay if it's gradual and plausible. Like it has to come with time, and there needs to be a purpose behind it. Like for the character themselves and their own motives.
We have never seen Tiffin in game. She died before WoW's timeline.
Yeah, she died by a rock.
Yeah, she got killed by the Defias Brotherhood, but before they were known as the Defias Brotherhood, but still. Tiffin's been dead for a while, and that's why I feel like that's kind of like one of the things about Shadowlands 2 is like Anduin's been held captive, so he hasn't gotten to really interact with the Shadowlands too much, which is kind of sad. While other characters have, like Thrall and Jaina, not so much Bane, sadly, but you know, Bane's gonna get his time to shine in 9.2. I can say that much. Thank God.
Did Bane or Vol'jin ever interact?
Tons.
They did in Shadowlands.
No, not in Shadowlands.
No,
I thought you were referring in general.
No, in Shadowlands, because again, that's another opportunity for him.
I feel like Vol'jin should have gotten interactions with Thrall and Bane, but I mean, at least one of the good. I think one of the pluses with Vol'jin is he will come back. Like, that's a guarantee with him being in Ardenweald and being reborn in that seed. We just don't know what he'll be like and if he'll be the same person, but I'd say he's going to be. There's no way that they would be like, let's make Vol'jin an entirely different character. No, they wouldn't do that. They might make him a dinosaur, though.
Siege of Orgrimmar 2, Vol'jin actually goes, like, crazy, like Garrosh. It's just
Vol'jin comes back. It's like, I be war chief now, and he wears the tusks of Manaroth.
Thrall, how many times do I have to go through this?
God damn it! I just want to retire.
And he's like, Darkspear never die. Now it has a
Darkspears never die, Thrall.
How did we go from Zoval to Vol'jin becoming like a corrupt war chief?
I don't know, because you were bitching about Bane not getting to interact with Vol'jin.
Yeah, I know, he should have. There's a lot of character moments like that. I will say. Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Skoll. No, go ahead.
I was just gonna say to Goliath, Bane. I made that thing on Twitter for a reason. Bane is done sitting, thank God, in 9.2. It's not really a major spoiler, but it just, you know, he's gonna be involved in the story at least.
So, gosh, there's a lot to cover in 9.2. We're at an hour right now, and I'd like to tackle like one or two more subjects, actually. Because we've talked about a lot of characters, but we haven't talked about Zereth Mortis and its role in the storyline. And I will outright say, forgive me, because I don't particularly know much about it, other than the fact that we can walk on water there. That's pretty awesome. And some of the creature designs, like from the trailer, look pretty interesting. I know Zoval, is it the Forge of Creation? Is that what the raid's called? I actually don't know. Let me look it up. I think it might be Eternity's End or something. Or is that the name of the patch?
That's the name of the patch.
The name of the patch, the raid, I believe, is called.
The first ones, that's it.
Yeah, the Sepulchre of Knowledge or whatever.
So
the Sepulchre of the first ones, but
we got some just to talk about Zereth Mortis, because obviously it's just gonna be kind of like the new Timeless Isle zone of the patch, but we have some pretty interesting bosses in that raid. And I think that'll kind of lead to the final subject of the video, but like, I love the fact that we're fighting Artificer Zymox from Castle Nathria, and I saw someone on Twitter post the SpongeBob thing, how many times do we have to teach you this lesson? The other people are just kind of like, I know there's the Dreadlords, the Lords of Dread, with Mal'Ganis. You got
Mal'Ganis?
Yeah. Mal'Ganis, Anduin, Zoval, so like, there's some pretty good names here for this being the final raid of the expansion. There's like Constellar, which kind of looks like Algalon a little bit.
Yep.
So I'm just looking at this right now. I really should have this set up so I can switch to these windows live, like when we stream this. But like, yeah, there's some pretty badass stuff in the. I'm actually excited for the raid. I think the end raids of the expansions are usually fun. I'm kind of bummed out I didn't do Sanctum of Domination. I'm currently actually not subbed to the game, but I'm going to be coming back for 9.2. Deciding if I want to play Zan or my Paladin. That's a whole other thing.
I think that I think that Sanctum Domination was probably my favorite raid so far of Shadowlands. I don't know, Castle Nathria just didn't land with me. I know a lot of people really liked it, but
It was solid, but that's kind of like, it was definitely one of the better first raids they've done.
The only boss I cared about was Kalathost, and I already knew he was going to survive, so like, I was like, well, what's the point?
I will say the Denathrius fight and the dance fight and the Artificer ones were my favorite ones. I like the portal mechanic. I thought that was really fun.
Oh, I love doing, I remember you were doing raiding with me back then. That was fun.
I know, I miss that guild. They were really fun.
I miss it too. That guild died.
Oh,
that was unfortunate. You know, me and Kai are in the same guild.
I'm actually, if I come back to Wormrest and you guys are recruiting, I might play my Death Knight or Paladin. I'm not sure, but
Sanctum of Domination was a really fun raid. I really liked a lot of it. There was the Garrosh moment, which you and I talk about like all the time.
The one that has me like just split emotionally, that I like it, but I don't like it, and I'm like really upset about it, but I'm like, yeah, that makes sense for his character.
I find it really funny because like when we first talked about it, you were so mad, you were furious, typing in all caps. Then you and me talked and sit down and talked about it, and you're like, you know what, you're right, Skoll, it is actually really good. And then you were like, you know what, no.
I still feel that way about it. Like I'll watch it and be like, yeah, it's cool. Like I just quick 2 minutes on this, and I'll shut up about it. We could have gotten so much more out of Garrosh. We could have had an interaction with Thrall, an interaction with Nazgrim.
Yeah,
I did
I
like
agree with
the
you
idea
there.
of him going. I know a lot of people might disagree with me with this. I did like the idea of him going through the process in Revendreth. There was an art piece that Doom Goblin did. I'm just gonna talk about this, where Garrosh was like in Revendreth, and I loved the idea behind it. I do kind of like the message of the story we got, where it's like, why should he change? Why should he change who he is? Like, that's kind of interesting, because he is a prideful guy. It is funny that he was used as a battery, and Patrick Seltz, the voice actor, gave an incredible performance in that cutscene. And the part that I liked about that cutscene, my favorite part, was the For the Horde scream that I was implying his horde, I think, like the true horde, the Iron Horde. Like, that was cool, though. That was a cool moment for him. We could talk about Garrosh all day. I won't degrade the podcast to Garrosh, because I do it every episode. I love Garrosh as a character.
You don't see me doing this about Rexar every podcast box. I
hope Garrosh had a kid. I really hope Garrosh had a kid. With Zayla, that's like my biggest hope. Garrosh is like, I think my he's like my second favorite lore character behind Vol'jin. But just Garrosh, his ending was okay. I just really wish, I think he had the potential for more in Shadowlands. That's what hurts about that cutscene. There was a lot of potential for more out of him, and that's all.
That's Shadowlands. I feel like that's Shadowlands in general. There's so much like untapped potential with so many characters that we could have seen again, and I feel like everyone really just wanted like quest lines with like hanging out with Garrosh and like Revendreth. I think the problem is they didn't want to pull another WoD where they're like, hey, here are all these characters again, isn't that great, isn't that cool? But that's kind of the point. I love fan service, I really do. Like, I feel like we've gotten to a point where people think fan service is bad, but I think fan service, when done right,
meant for it, is the thing.
Yeah.
Like I think just as an example, I think the Garrosh cutscene, even if he didn't interact with Thrall or Nazgrim, would have been more impactful if we had more breadcrumbs leading up to it throughout the questing and stuff. Like, oh, this prideful orc was sent to the Maw because they needed more anima or something. You know what I mean? Like, we didn't really get that in Revendreth. The only thing we got was the Afterlife cinematic, which made it seem like we were going to get more from him, and then we got one cutscene. That's my problem with that, I think. But I think that's the tough thing, too, for Blizzard, though, is Shadowlands is a lot to cover with everything.
Yeah, you have so many. I feel like they had so many characters that they probably were like, we want to work with them, but like, it is one of those things I do think about, too, is like, okay, this is a dead character that we can bring back again. Isn't that neat? But at the same time, doesn't that demean their death or something? Like,
the problem
I'm
is
sure
that you'd have a guy like me that would write Vol'jin and Garrosh like the whole expansion.
I hate to say it, like, it's the reason why I don't add much to whenever it comes up. I'm kind of one of those people that it's like I kind of, it does deteriorate the whole impact of death whenever you know, like, if you die, and like there's still so much story to be written. It's like, that was just the beginning. Now, you know, we're moving on to the real
I think that
the character, now that they're dead, you know.
I think they made the smart choice, especially Maldraxxus, to choose characters that like really weren't really done much in Warcraft or in WoW in general. So like, you know, you had Lady Vosh, you had Kalthos, you had Draka, and all, like, you had a lot of, I feel like they're like C or B list characters that are like, you think about them for a little bit, but they don't really, like, when I was making videos like, oh, characters I want to see in Shadowlands again, it was like characters like Ogrim and Varian and all this other stuff, and it's like, you know what, come to think of it, if I did see them, it probably would make their deaths in like the context of their demises probably not matter as much.
So on that token of the coin, as somebody who's a fan of Garrosh, I would have almost rather not have seen him. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
What we
it's
got.
like,
I think that's how I feel about it, because it's like, Well, perma
Destroy
dead
it.
now.
I feel like with Garrosh, that's interesting because like I was completely content and happy with his death in WoD, but other people weren't.
I was.
So I
too,
feel like that was
actually.
may
I
have
was
been.
too.
I wonder if that was like throwing people who are big fans of Garrosh a bone, but like I think they overestimated like, oh, we want to see Garrosh do this, that, and this, and like I think that they thought that that Garrosh wasn't really going to ever like. I'm thinking that like them as the writers know more what to do with Garrosh than we do sometimes. So like Garrosh choosing to like not want to change is definitely in his character, and he probably would have been sent to the maw anyways. So probably the route that he got. Like I keep telling you, Box, I think it makes sense that he chose to out himself. I would have loved him interacting with Desgrim and Thrall, though. I will always agree with you there.
Yeah, no, I mean, I think it makes sense too for him, like, to go out that way. It was just like on that same thing, because this conversation definitely can go around and around, but especially with me, because I'll keep it going for like an hour.
I was gonna say, is it gonna be on me to break it to the Pandaren community to be like, hey guys, I'm sorry, Box is now maining his Andalari Paladin and he's a Garrosh stan. His channel is all about Garrosh. Like,
I haven't
sorry,
done
Box is the
content.
anti-Pandaren fan.
Yeah. What is
wait,
going on, man?
I haven't done Pandaren content since our speculation video about the Death Knights, I think, Kai. I think that was a lot, but I mean, my machinimas are kind of Pandaren content, but like, I haven't
gone
done
full on hashtag Garrosh has done nothing wrong.
Wait a minute, no. Do you
Garrosh
guys...
did nothing wrong, I should say.
You were one of the two people on my one video that I talked about did Thrall cheat, and you were like, yeah, I think Thrall cheated.
I did say that, actually. I was on record saying that. I said...
I know that you've changed your mind about it after the video, but still.
Yeah, no. Because I was in the mindset of, like, the movie back then. I remember when that was my opinion. I was like, well, in the movie he cheated. But
give more Pandaren. I've been telling Box this that he needs to make more Pandaren content for years now.
We're gonna do some Pandaren discussions soon. I think especially with the new expansion announcement, we'll be able to do more.
I want to talk about what G Firepaw is going to do, and Blizzard's not going to do it.
Dude. I miss G Firepaw, Chen.
Me too.
You know, one of my favorite things about 8.3 was the fact we got to see like Terran Zoo, we got to see Terran Zoo, G Firepaw, Taoshi. Like, that was literally, and we got to go on a quest chain with Taoshi in the Dread Waste. That was so badass.
Yeah.
And Chen,
it was.
with the Mogu in the north and Lili. I miss it. Sorry.
Chen got his hat stolen.
G at least had dialogue, but he didn't get a quest.
We still need justice.
What do you mean? He got dialogue in BFA. I'm gonna punch Dinosaur in the face.
Oh my god. You know what though? I'm gonna give Blizzard kudos where it was deserved on that. Like, after that, they gave G quite a bit of dialogue. I don't think they gave Asa much, so I feel for the Tishiri players,
in the Bane in Thunderbluff, he was tending to Bane's wounds. I forgot about that.
They gave him some good development throughout that. And then Madeline Ruin Shadows Rising knocked it out of the park with G Firepaw. I am gonna say, guys, since we're at about a hour and 10 minutes right now, I think we've covered a good bit. I'd like to maybe do Anduin, but after we do Anduin, I'd like to open it up to the chat for questions and answers while we're live. Well, we talked about Anduin. Do you have anything you guys want to add about it? Because we talked about the Varian bringing him back.
Ah, yes, Anduin.
If you have anything you guys want to touch on about him before we open it up to like Q&A.
I think he's gonna be fine.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, he's probably not going to be in the best of shapes after what he went through, but I do think he's gonna come back alive. I don't think they're gonna kill Anduin off. He's one of the more compelling characters that the Alliance has. And it would be really... I don't think that... I mean, yeah, they could have Turallion replace him as the human leader, but I think that would tick people off more than make them happy. Like, Anduin dying a sad death would be more frustrating than cheerful. Especially at this point. Like, he does not... It doesn't feel like they're building up to his death.
I agree on some points, but I do... I still think the... either time skip or something of that sort is going to kind of follow Shadowlands in regards to showing a little bit of alliance conflict. When you say like him dying and Turallion becoming leader would kind of rub some people the wrong way. Well, I do still think that's kind of going to happen.
I think
but
that
I don't think it'll happen.
What I meant by that is Anduin dying is what allows Turallion to do what he needs to do. I think that what he's already gone through is enough to have Turallion be like, I'm not giving you leadership back. You are in a terrible mental state and physical state. And
Yeah.
like, you know his opinion on the dead. And like, we don't even know if Anduin can even use the light after this. So I feel like that's what's going to be the storylines that they're going to focus on with good old Anduin. That he's going to come back and he's going to be a changed person. Not so much that he wanted to be a changed person, but he's going to come back. He's going to be different. I don't think he's going to have Shalamorn or Charlemagne anymore. I think that's going to be broken.
Right.
I think that he's going to come back, and I think that the Alliance will either reject him or, kind of like try to like push him away. I don't know. Like, it's hard to say right now, but I do think that that Anduin is not going to come back as the leader of the Alliance for some reason, and that's going to give Turallion the ability to create another faction conflict. And I know some people don't want another faction conflict, but I love them. I'm in a place. I'm in a place where it's like, if it makes sense, go for it. And Turallion is like the perfect person to start a faction conflict, especially if it's Alliance who start it rather than Horde.
Now, I think. Sorry, I'm sorry, I was trying to cut in there, but like with Turallion, he's not just a conduit for faction warfare to begin again. Because I have to be honest with you, it is still a bit tired. I think a good portion of the WoW community doesn't really want to see it again.
I know.
Even if it is plausible. I do kind of like it in some regards, but I don't like how they kind of handled it in BFA. But that being said, I was talking about Turallion, but with Turallion, I think he's going to be less of a conduit for another faction conflict with Alliance and Horde, but rather an like within the Alliance itself, kind of a faction like conflict. If that makes any sense, I feel like
Turallion's going to cause conflict regardless with the Horde, because one of the things he says at the very start of I think it's either Shadowlands or BFA, but he really wants to go back to settlements that were taken by the Horde and retake them. So
that's exactly what I was going to say. I think he's going to capitalize on that particular portion of the Alliance, the ones that were aggrieved in the past, or the ones that don't think that a lasting peace with the Horde is even possible, so they need to capitalize on the advantage. I think
that it's gonna be a different faction conflict from Battle for Azeroth. I think that the Horde is, for one, actually not gonna want to war with the Alliance. I feel like they're like, what happened to the armistice? What's going on? I guess we'll fight you. Like, I'm sure that some of the Horde will obviously be like, hell yeah, it's time for some warfare.
Peace with the Alliance, nevermore.
Yeah,
pretty much.
I feel like there's definitely going to be split sides, but I think that we're going to have maybe a Stormheim situation where the faction conflict might be like in one zone or something. Like, it's not going to be the main storyline, but it's still going to be present within the storylines. Maybe, I don't know. Like, the thing is, like, I know that there's a big portion of the WoW community that doesn't want it, but at the same time, people were asking for an expansion like Shadowlands and immediately were like, oh, we don't want this. So I'm not sure at this point, because like people flip-flop with what they want and don't want now.
So do you guys Kai, were you about to say something? Because
I was, but I could go on for forever, and we should probably move on.
Oh no.
The last thing we're gonna do, I think, is just Q&A. If you have something you do want to throw.
Yeah, just say what you like summarize it.
I just have to say I think overall, going with an afterlife plot or time traveling plot or anything of that sort that kind of makes concepts like death and actions in general inconsequential is almost always the wrong choice. I think like they did very well with what they had, but the overall scheme of like the afterlife or time travel, like, at the risk of repeating myself, it's always going to feel like it kind of invalidates everything that happened before then. especially whenever you place an overarching thing on top of it. Like, that wasn't, I know we've already kind of touched on it, but that wasn't there to begin with, where it's like, this all happened, but it was the jailer the whole time, you know?
Yeah.
That's really all I want to say.
But I just remember a lot of people were like, finally BFA is over, we're gonna get Shadowlands. People were really excited for Shadowlands. They knew it was gonna deal with the afterlife and non-faction themes, but I've noticed, what I've at least noticed from some of the people, is a lot of people want to get back to Azeroth, people want to get back to the Horde, people want to get back to the Alliance. So I'm not saying that they want to get back to faction conflict per se, but I do think that people have changed their tone on what they want.
Absolutely.
Again, which is what happens in almost every expansion. I've noticed people are like, Mr. Pandaria, I don't want to focus on these pandas and these Pandaren and their land or whatever. But then after the expansion's over, they're like, you know what, that actually wasn't that bad. So it's something.
Best race in the game. People didn't.
I think the only expansion that didn't really happen in was Legion. I feel like everyone was pretty happy with Legion throughout the entirety of it. But you know, I had issues during Legion that people didn't have. So I don't know. I feel like an Azeroth themed expansion is just what everyone wants right now, and I just hope people don't go Azeroth.
I gotta do the comic book guy voice. Azeroth. I can't believe they're making us go back to these continents that we've already explored. That's what somebody's gonna say. So, if you guys have any questions, please post them. Even if you've already posted a question, I want to ask a few. I'm gonna go back up to Goliath's first question because I thought this was interesting. Who do you think would be the best character to be Anduin's therapist to help him move past his trauma? Maybe Gen or Jaina. I feel like they would be... I think something interesting that could happen with that is Anduin may not like what he sees with the Alliance afterwards. Maybe Velen, too, actually. That could give Velen something to do. Considering he's a priest, too. But, yeah, I'm hoping Anduin, like, gets to confront Turalian at some point. Seeing that the Alliance become this thing that he never wanted it to. But what do you guys think about that in, like, short answers for these? Do you guys have any characters you think would be good therapists for him?
It's tough. I'm genuinely trying to think, but Gen feels like the obvious answer, but I don't feel like it will be the obvious answer. I think there will be maybe some more... I feel like maybe another character will get the role that maybe we're not expecting right now. It could be anybody. I'm sorry if that's not a very satisfying answer, but yeah, it feels like Gen is who I'd expect it to be, but I also don't see that happening because it's just too expected.
Skoll? Oh.
My microphone's acting up, sorry.
You're good, man.
My answer would be Alonzo's Fall.
Oh.
He would be perfect person.
That would be cool, actually.
Because he is a Forsaken priest, and Anduin was dominated by, you know, basically the same thing that created the Scourge and the Forsaken for a while. And Alonzo's Fall, like many Forsaken, were, you know, raised up and they were crazy for a little bit. They were in a frenzy, but then they regained their consciousness and got better. So because of Alonzo's Fall has a relationship with the light, it would make sense for someone like him to approach Anduin and be like, "Hey, it's okay, buddy. I was there too at one point."
Perfect. Also, hell yeah, Walter. I think it'd be Velen. Velen.
Velen, I would say, needs it at this point. Legion has been a while.
Something to do, but I also think what Skoll said about Alonzo's Fall would be pretty cool.
I mean, Alonzo's Fall and Anduin are already kind of buddies thanks to Before the Storm, so...
He's got a lot of support from priests, it seems like, the answer to this discussion.
Well, he is a priest,
yeah.
So, of course he's buddies of priests. I want more storylines where, like, characters of the same class are just chilling and are buddies. Like, I would love it if Rexar and Chandris are just BFFs secretly.
I want more shaman stuff in general. I don't even care who it is. I just want more shamans. Like I love shamanism.
See what more thrall?
Yes, I do.
Okay, good. We're on a good term then. Most people
yeah.
like say. Most people to me always say no. I don't want any more thrall. But I'm over
I
here
love
like,
thrall, man.
thank you.
So the next question we have is, what if Wad Garrosh exists still as a Lightforged orc? I believe that's actually confirmed, Martin. So we probably
Wait,
will
what?
see... Well, like, no, not Wad. Oh, Wad Garrosh. Oh. Alternate Garrosh, or whatever alternate Grom's kid is confirmed to be a Lightforged orc. So AU Garrosh is technically around as a Lightforged orc.
I mean, he's
He
probably
was-
not named Garrosh, but
He was data mined actually. He is named Garrosh and his family
Uh,
name is Heaven.
Oh wow.
I don't think.
I'm kidding. I'm trolling.
Well, I was about to say, Jikai, I've never heard of this, and I'm usually the one who knows this stuff.
I would just messing with you guys, but
I
it'd be funny.
swear.
Heaven Whisper would be an amazing name.
All we know is his name is Exarch Hellscream, so
It'll be
That's-
interesting.
that'll
for sure.
be. That's why I want one of the. I feel like that's going to be a storyline they might touch on if Turallion is involved. He's going to be like, ooh. So what were you saying, Khadgar, about some Lightbound or rather some alternate Draenei in a different plane?
I so much. I miss Khadgar
Yeah.
so much.
Where the hell? Khadgar was watching us in Oribos, and he's nowhere to be seen. Where'd he go?
We'll have to find out. That's for sure.
He better. Oh, if he's in Zerif Mortis, that
He's
that already is going to be a better patch.
I was gonna say that's probably what he's been doing this whole time. He's researching. He's gonna already know what's going to happen next in some way. He's going.
It's good to see you again, champion.
I would be fine with it. I miss him.
Me too. So the next question we got was from Monkey. He said, "Box Jikai Skoll. What do you think?" I think so. Like where Sarfang is and Varian. I believe we think Varian's in Zereth Mortis, but Sarfang could interact with him if he's there too. If that's what you're asking that question, I think. Yeah, it would be cool. Basically, a TLDR of that monkey is I hope we see the both of them in Zereth Mortis because they're powerful souls. But I believe Sarfang is in the Maw due to the rules of when he died.
Unless like Zoval is like, I'm gonna pull a Draenosh and brings Sarfang with us in Zereth Mortis, and he's all Maw corrupted, which I hope that's not the case. But I mean, if we get to save him, like Sylvanas, again, the perfect thing to do would be like Sylvanas saves him from that fate. It's like, I'm sorry, and Sarfang's like, you better be.
So the next question comes from Goliath again. Where do you see Demon Hunters going in terms of being related to the story? Opening to other races, reason for existing, new NPC characters? Ooh, there's a lot I could answer with that. I think Demon Hunters, once we get more involved with the Light and Void conflict, will have their place. I'm sure in the Nether, the Burning Legion is still out there, so they'll most likely have some story for the Illidari.
I've got a good answer.
If Illid Pandaren Demon Hunters, Skull? Is that what you're gonna say?
Oh my god.
I'll take Pandaren Demon Hunters.
Sure, that's the first answer. I was gonna say that they could go after Denathrius wherever he's going and hiding, because he got freed in 9.1, and he is not a confirmed threat in Zereth Mortis at all yet. So my prediction is the Demon Hunters and possibly even Illidan himself is gonna contend and fight with Denathrius, because Denathrius and the Dreadlords are the big reason why there's even a cosmic war in the first place. So who better to stop this guy from creating even more conflict than Illidan himself? I feel like that'd be perfect.
That's fair.
What I honestly love to see come out of that is some kind of demon clans. I know it's a little strange, but like, without Sargeras at the helm, a bunch of vying for power. So you're gonna have these like conglomerates of different demons, like essentially at war with each other, and maybe trying to use the mortal races or some powerful artifacts from Azeroth or whatever to essentially further their own ends, and maybe have them a bit involved with future baddies in some regard. Not be the focal baddies, but heavily involved maybe in some ways. And that's a good way Demon Hunters could be involved. You could have them possibly taking even a research role in some storylines. But I do think them sticking to the whole countering demons and the Legion in general I hope they stick with that and just make the Legion not be done with now that Sargeras is locked up. I hope that they continue with the Legion in some way.
That's fair. That's fair. I do
Yeah.
too. And I think they can. Like there's even demons like we didn't deal with in Legion, which is kind of interesting. So
Right.
I think we'll
It'd be
get
so
Jikai.
cool to see them fight amongst
We
themselves.
we still got Sargeras out there, and we still got I think Jiraxis is still out there somewhere. So maybe Jiraxis is gonna make his in Hearthstone. I think it's like Rusted Legion. So that'd be cool to see.
So we got our next question from Walter, and this is actually going back to our Anduin conversation earlier. With Illyria and Turalyon working together, most likely because of Shadow's Rising hints, do you think it'll draw Anduin as more of a disciplined priest? I'm gonna throw that to Skoll and Kai, because I'm not really sure, to be honest.
We saw him using the Void for a little bit there on Cortana, I believe. Or is it not Cortana? What's her name? The she's the bad Dark Warden. I don't think it's Cortana because that's the Fell one. But we saw him we saw him try to use the Void on her to get her to talk, but then he retracted from doing it because he was like, no, that's bad. I could see Anduin maybe becoming a discipline priest. Yeah, I can't talk. Discipline priest, but at the same time, I don't know what's going to happen with him after Zeref Mortis. He might actually even lose his connection to the light, maybe. So, I don't know. I feel like a discipline priest would be perfect for him because that's like the perfect blend for Anduin's character. He's a very neutral character. I feel like him being the representation of light and void would be cool. But that actually might fall to their son, Erator. To be the one who uses light and void. I think that would be cool. Let's see.
Erator,
Yeah,
I like Erator. Oops, sorry, Kai, go ahead.
Erator should be the wielder of the Ashbringer. I'm gonna say that. It'd
That'd
be
be kind
cool.
of cool.
That would
Yeah.
be really cool. Someone
Be a
needs
way
to
to-
wield it.
Yeah, and he could use a little bit more lore relevance too, and just in general.
Yeah, I want to see a half elf model. That's
For
not.
sure.
I mean, we've got Kalagos, but that poor guy needs a new model too.
So let's see. Wait, Khadgar was an Ouroboros? I don't remember. Yeah, he was there as a Raven, Goliath.
I did a whole video on it. You can go check it out on my channel. Wink, wink, nudge, nudge.
Me as champion seeing Khadgar, no getaway. What, monkey? Khadgar's awesome. Better than Magni, but still no. What? I will agree Khadgar's better than Magni, but I would be like, Khadgar, come back. No, don't leave again.
We need Khadgar back.
We do need Khadgar back. I hope next expansion. Do you think new races and classes, what classes each one of you want, and what race can be added? So for new races, I want Broken, Machnathal. Those are the two I want the most. Ogres would be cool. I really, actually, my most class that I want the most is Dark Ranger. And that's over Tinkerer and stuff too, for like the big fan ones. I think Dark Ranger would be really fun to play. Mainly just like, this sounds weird, but after working on Machinima with like Hala as a character, I like enjoy Dark Rangers more. Like I think they're really cool. So yeah, I think Dark Rangers would be fun, and like I think they could work with the way BFA ended and with Sylvanas' arc kind of coming to an end. I think it would be an interesting time to introduce them, right? Like even
It would make sense lore-wise because we have we have the Night Elves that are Dark Rangers that rejoined the Alliance apparently.
Mhm.
We have plenty of them on Horde that defected from Sylvanas to stay in the Horde. So
and the models are literally already there. Like they're
Yeah.
in the
Yeah.
game. Like the model I use for Hala and Machinima is literally just like a skin change and an eye color change. Like it's there. Like there's armor for them. Like I think they, in one of those fan servicey things, I think a lot of people would like Dark Rangers.
Yeah, I think and I would hope they go about it this route too, is that they would just slap the customization options onto Forsaken. I hope they don't go with Blood Elves because I just think it would be more fitting for them to be Forsaken for obvious reasons. But I I hope they don't make a new race out of it. In fact, this might be a hot take, but I kind of wish they didn't make new races out of a lot of the ones they already did, instead of just making them new customization options. But that's just me.
Come on, Kai, you're not a Kultiran main.
I love Kultirans, but they should have just been a human.
Exactly. Yeah.
Option. You know what I'm saying? Like by having a bunch of allied races and like things like that, it's cool. You know, they have their own unique flavors and stuff like that. But at the same time, you're stretching yourself super thin whenever it comes to developing on these races and their lore and all this other stuff.
So there's
I kind of. Sorry.
Oh no, it was just like you were saying. There's no reason a new player shouldn't be able to play a Magar orc right off the bat. You know what I mean? Like with that customization, like it's just good for the game to have those be mixed with the other ones. I hate to say it, you know.
There's some allied like for me, like I really love it whenever they add like a new zone and a new questing for that race, which they haven't done since Pandaren, sadly. It's like for me, I love it when they do a new class, or rather a new hero class and a new race, because it's like, all right, cool, let's explore these characters, where they come from, and more lore about them.
Yeah.
So that's where I fall in, and I also, like, my answer is basically the same as Box, except change Dark Ranger to Tinker, because I'd love to see a Tinker class, kind of like how Gazlo is in Heroes of the Storm, or like just them operating a mech suit of some kind. That would be really cool. I think that we need a new class. If we do a new class, that way, because we have a bunch of races from allied races that need some love customization wise still.
So I did kind of deviate from the question. I apologize for that. So, like I said, I would prefer not having new races, but if we did get some new ones, I have to start off saying, where the heck are the ogres? Or Moknathal would do as well. You know, I can't believe the Horde still doesn't have ogres in some capacity. For the Alliance, that was a little tougher for me, but I think some variation of the Jinyu or the Arakoa would be awesome. Maybe not Arakoa, because they're not really in any way shown to kind of favor the Alliance, as far as I know. And Cohen or Jinyu, I think, would be cool there.
I think I didn't get to say too much about, and I'm sorry for interrupting, but
you're fine.
Talking on like classes that I see some people talking about in the chat, and Dark Rangers included, like Box said, I feel like Dark Rangers and like Shadow Hunters are way too close to being hunters.
Mm-hmm.
And like it's not in the same vein of like Warlocks, where like Warlocks had the one ability of Metamorphosis and they just took that away and gave it to Demon Hunters. I feel like we would basically need to add new specializations, maybe, or like as a lot I know like Talius and Evertel talks about a lot is it's like customization for your classes. So like if you're a troll, you can get the custom, like maybe any race could get it really. So like if you're like if you want to be a Shadow Hunter orc or something, it would be like for survival hunters to get, and then like and it would just change your spells and abilities, and like you'd be classified as a Shadow Hunter. And then for Dark Rangers, that'd be definitely like a customization for Marksman Hunters to use. I feel like that would be the best thing to do. And like you'd obviously show that through like color schemes and stuff like that. So like if you were a Dark Ranger, you'd have red eyes and really pale skin automatically, almost.
Right, kind of like the Demon Hunter customization.
Kind of like Death Knights and Demon Hunters, like basically. Like that's basically what I'm thinking of, because like I remember when I first made my Death Knight, I was like, whoa, this is so much different from actual orcs, because they have really pale skin and different hair colors from the orcs. Well, they used to. They actually included them to everyone now. But back in the day, Death Knights were a very different breed from their actual like race, which I always thought was really cool. So something like that, like it's like a hero class for your existing class, basically.
I want to see new specs. I just want to see Earth and Shaman tanks and battle mages. But that's me.
That we might have to. They'd probably have to either like add a new spec for that or change the current specs like they did for survival hunters.
I don't see. I hope they don't go the way of changing specs again. I don't see anything wrong with them adding more specs. I do maybe see some conflict with the old, Legion artifact quests and things like that. But I think there can be a workaround. There's got to be something they could do there. Maybe they can mix one of the artifacts together with that particular spec. But I think rather than whole new classes, new specs would be a better option to go because of a few reasons. It doesn't limit them in the scope of how to develop. Like, whenever you make a new class, you got to make 2 to 3 specs around that class. Well, why not just make new specs around currently existing classes so you can have maybe a ranged rogue spec? You've got all these bows, and literally only 2 specs of one class can use all these bows, guns, rifles, and all these other things. Maybe a ranged hunter spec. You've got a bunch of intellect plate gear in the game. Well, if you've got battle mages, that's another class or spec, I should say, that can use that. That's just my take on it.
Yeah, I would probably just like either add a cosmetic spec or a new spec in that case for Dark Rangers and Shadowhunters.
Yeah.
Walter, I absolutely agree with that. Survival dual wielding would be awesome. Demon
Oh yeah,
Hunter
definitely.
spec for demon form, like shadow form. That'd be cool, Monkey. We already had 2 specs on Demon Hunter and 4 for Druid, so it's not like they've been married to each class. Yeah, exactly, Goliath.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, that's my point there too. I think if filling out more specs with the currently existing classes, I think works better than a new class in general. But that's just me.
Do you guys, everybody in the chat, do you guys have any more questions for tonight? So I think we're around 2 hours. We're actually at 1 hour and 40 minutes. So I think we're probably gonna wrap down soon. But if you guys have any questions, please don't hesitate to ask while we're all here. Except
Yeah,
Skull.
if you got any. Oh wow.
Skull's out of control. Before the stream, he was making fun of my Pandaren Death Knight, and he told me, "Box, you can't play Zan anymore." And I said, "But Zan's awesome." And then I remembered, I wasn't playing Zan.
Go tell your Garrosh fan club about it.
Oh no!
Yeah, it's like, go tell your Garrosh fan club about it, Box. I'm tired of you. Where's your Pandaren Demon Hunter? Come on.
Do you guys know Skoll is going to be doing a Box the Demon Hunter machinima at some point?
That's gonna be fun.
Necromancer
I think
would be awesome, Monkey.
I think about that every time I go to the toilet.
That's fair. That's okay. This might sound weird. It might be TMI, but I get machinima ideas sometimes. Like I'm on the toilet.
That's the idea throne, man. Like I go to the toilet and I'm like, man, I can't wait to do this machinima.
Oh wait,
This took a turn.
I'm sorry, Goliath. You missed the one I asked about if there could be revamps of places like Silver Moon and other. So I hope so, Goliath. I hope we get updates to Exodar, Silver Moon, and I think our biggest hope, we talked about our other podcast, is a Cataclysm expansion. That's a whole nother discussion, but I think we're gonna get updates to those cities like very soon.
I think that a world revamp. I know a lot of people are like very skeptical of it, but I definitely think it's going to happen in the next expansion. 10.0 is the perfect number and perfect time to do so because everyone is asking for it at this point. And honestly, I feel like that would give a lot of life and energy into World of Warcraft again to see, new landmass. Because I remember when Cataclysm was announced, I was excited.
Yeah.
And they have the technology now to preserve the old zones, so it wouldn't be us saying goodbye to the Cataclysm zones. It would be us being able to do both or all three, really, because you already have Classic WoW as its own server. So
with the phasing too, it'll be easy for them to.
Exactly. So I feel like a world revamp is possible. I just feel like Blizzard might be telling us, "Hey, we're gonna need a lot of time to do it," which makes sense because revamping an entire 2 continents as big as Eastern Kingdoms and Kalimdor compared to Northrend and Pandaria or the Broken Isles, etc., is a lot of work. And hopefully that means they can finally incorporate Silvermoon from being on the Outland to instead being on the actual Eastern Kingdoms continent.
Absolutely, and then we can fly there too. It'll be
we could finally fly there. I remember when Cataclysm was announced, I was like, "Fine!" And this was back when RP was hot in Silvermoon City. I remember I was like, "Oh man, I'm so excited to finally fly around in Silvermoon. I'm tired of being on a mountain grout in that place. I'm gonna have dragon battles and everything." That was like, I think that was 13-year-old Skull.
So just to answer so we have 2 more questions for tonight, and then we're gonna wrap down. Martin Bluemass, are you guys hyped for Legion Time Walking? I'm gonna say yes. Legion had some really good dungeons, but that Mage Tower feature has been very fan requested, and those armor sets are pretty good. I do like the Warrior one on Hawosian. They look good.
Do you see yourself wearing that as Box's new armor in the new seasons, or are you gonna buckle down on your Nathria armor?
Maybe a mixture of the two. The Nathria one almost seems too much for Box in some ways, but I like it at the same time. Like, it fits.
You don't want the fluffy color?
I'm still debating on it, but I might.
I want that monk set.
You want that matching outfit with Ban and Box wearing fluffy colors together.
That would be actually really funny. Hey, Ban, I got a fluffy color. Oh, god damn it, Box.
Oh, god damn it, Box. You're stealing my design now. Here, Ban, I'm gonna be a hunter now. No.
Jackalope, no, we don't need any more hunters.
Here, I'm gonna wear an eye patch like you, Ban. I don't even have a missing eye. I'm just doing it because I look cool like Jackalope.
Banarak, your girlfriend doesn't even need an eye patch. She just wears one for the sake of it.
She's disgraceful. She has perfect 20/20 vision.
Jackalope, what? It helps me see better. The other question we got was from Monkey regarding are all future streams going to be like the podcast? I think so. This is actually really fun, like doing it this way. I like this a lot, this format. It's more fun being able to interact with you guys like while streaming the podcast, I think. And
we definitely need to look into like adding so like we can look at like browsers and shit, so like we can be like, oh, let's look at Wowhead and see what they posted and we can talk about it, because I see plenty of people. I've seen plenty of streams and podcasts who do that.
I can create a bunch of different sources and then share my screen with you guys, but that's gonna be I'll do some work in progress to see like kind of what other people do to make it more comfortable for everyone to watch and be more fun to pull up trailers and stuff. I'm trying to make sure I did not miss anything here. Hopefully we do get a Silvermoon back and the Hulk bear form. I do like that monkey.
It's literally it's like a demon hunter became a druid again, and now they have a fell bear form. It's really cool. I already have the werebear form, but it's very tempting.
Yeah, it's just that monk set, man. That's really the only one. Like, they all look good. Don't get me wrong, but that monk set, that's what I'm hyped for. I really love the way.
The hunter one looks like a Pop-Tart, so I'm not really that happy.
Yeah, a Pop-Tart.
You know, like the grape flavor Pop-Tart. It looks just like that.
Best ones.
Ew. You nasty.
We're gonna have to make a machinima now where Banarak turns into a Pop-Tart slowly. With
What
that armor
the
set, that's happening. I'm gonna work on that script today.
No, please don't do cursed content.
If Shadowlands is the end of 17 years of Warcraft, 10.0 is definitely gonna be like the soft reboot, I think.
Oh, they already said that
think so,
they already said that like we're going for a new chapter for the next storyline, which I know. So like I know a lot of people think that we're getting a world reset for some reason, like Thanos is going to succeed in his snapping, but they already said.
Oh my god, you just called Zovault Thanos. I'm so happy about that, actually.
we already have well, I said he does the Thanos snap. But they already said in an interview that they were going to be going back to Azeroth to finish some loose ends, so I can't see a revamped Azeroth being loose ends. Like, like we still got Magatha, we still got Ajara and all that stuff, so that's why I think the next chapter is going to be a revamp. It just makes sense to me. Maybe Azeroth's going to wake up. That'd be cool.
That might happen, to be honest.
I think that's the perfect way to do a revamp. She's just like, I don't want to be ugly anymore. She just wakes up.
So, guys, thank you guys all so much for tuning in, especially those who in the chat, Goliath, Monkey, Martin, you guys, Walter, thank you guys so much for tuning in. Blue, if you're still here. You guys stuck with us the whole time, but this was definitely, it was a new experience for us. I think we're going to probably keep doing it this way.
Feel free to ask more Rexar questions.
more Rexar questions. We got to do
and more Lore Walker Show fan clubbing.
And G Fire Plot too.
Yeah, but mostly more Rexar because I'm tired of Box talking about Garrosh for an hour.
I've been talking about Garrosh way too much on these podcasts lately.
He needs help, guys, please.
He's not a pile of ash. He's not a pile of ash.
Please, if you guys have Box on Discord, please send him a pile of ashes of Garrosh. I'm gonna start a campaign.
No. But guys, we got to do our usual outro. My name is Box.